Keanu Reeves stood in the first-class line, dressed simply, his appearance a striking contrast to the luxury that surrounded him. A man nearby, filled with arrogance, watched him with disdain. What unfolded next left everyone on the plane utterly speechless and would change one person's life forever. Before we dive into this incredible story, let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's another special story coming your way tomorrow. The Los Angeles airport buzzed with its usual chaos. People hurried in all directions, their conversations merging with the sound of rolling luggage. Amidst the commotion, a man stood calmly in the first-class line. That man was Keanu Reeves. Dressed in a plaid shirt, worn-out jeans, and scuffed boots, he carried a well-traveled backpack slung over his shoulder. There was nothing flashy about him, and because of that, most people didn't even notice him. But to anyone who cared to look closer, there was something about his presence, a calm, grounded energy that stood out in the frenzy. Unlike those around him, who rushed and fidgeted anxiously, Keanu seemed at peace. He took in his surroundings with quiet observation, unfazed by the stares or the stark difference between himself and the other passengers. Behind him in line stood Victor Harding, a man who couldn't have been more different. Victor's tailored suit, polished shoes, and overpowering cologne made his status clear to anyone within range. Every move he made seemed calculated, designed to ensure everyone knew he was important. Victor's gaze landed on Keanu, and he couldn't help but make a snide comment. "First class, huh?" Victor smirked. "You never know who might show up here these days." Keanu turned to look at him, his expression calm. "Yeah, the world's full of surprises," he replied unfazed. Victor frowned, clearly expecting more of a reaction. When none came, he pressed on. "Nothing personal, but you don't exactly seem like the type who flies first class," he added with a condescending chuckle. Keanu remained quiet, offering only a polite nod as the boarding line moved forward. What neither of them knew was that their brief interaction was only the beginning of a journey that would challenge Victor's beliefs about status, humility, and respect. The story unfolds with Victor finally gathering the courage to face Keanu again. As the plane started its descent, the once confident businessman, now visibly humbled, turned to the actor. His voice, lacking the arrogance it once carried, was quiet and tentative. "Mr. Reeves," Victor began, struggling to maintain eye contact. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For how I acted. For the things I said. It was out of line, and I realize now how wrong I was." Keanu looked at Victor, his expression kind yet unreadable. He gave a small nod, acknowledging the apology, but letting Victor continue. "I've spent so much of my life believing that success means having more than others, showing the world that I belong at the top," Victor admitted, his voice trembling slightly. "But you showed me that there's more to life than that. That respect and kindness matter more than power or money. I've never met someone like you." Keanu's calm demeanor didn't waver. "Apologies are a good start," he replied gently. "But it's what we do next that matters most. The way we treat others defines who we are far more than any title or seat on a plane." Victor nodded, visibly emotional. "You're right. I see that now. Thank you for not stooping to my level, for showing me what real strength looks like." The other passengers, who had been silently observing the exchange, seemed moved by the interaction. A sense of collective respect filled the cabin as they witnessed a rare moment of vulnerability and wisdom. As the plane landed and passengers began to disembark, Victor hesitated for a moment before reaching out to Keanu. "If you're ever in Los Angeles, I'd like to make amends properly. Maybe coffee on me?" Keanu smiled warmly and shook Victor's hand. "We'll see," he said, leaving the invitation open-ended. Walking through the terminal, Victor reflected on the lesson he had just learned. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of his own pride lift. Meanwhile, Keanu disappeared into the crowd, carrying his simple backpack and the same quiet humility that had left an indelible mark on everyone who crossed his path. The story of that flight would be recounted by many who witnessed it. But for Victor, it was more than just a memorable encounter. It was the beginning of a profound transformation. And for Keanu, It was just another day of being himself, a reminder that kindness and humility can shine even in the most unlikely moments. As Victor watched Keanu walk away, a peculiar sense of loss washed over him. He had spent his entire career climbing corporate ladders, focused on winning at all costs. Yet here was a man who carried himself with quiet dignity and genuine humility, a stark contrast to the life Victor had always chased. It made him question everything he had believed about success. Victor lingered in the terminal for a moment, his mind racing. He realized this wasn't just a fleeting moment of self-awareness. Keanu's words, "It's what we do next that matters most," echoed in his thoughts, urging him to take action. In the weeks that followed, Victor began making changes in his life. He reached out to former colleagues and friends, mending bridges he'd burned in his relentless pursuit of power. At work, he started advocating for initiatives that supported employee well-being rather than just bottom-line profits. To his surprise, these shifts didn't diminish his career, they elevated it. People responded to his newfound sincerity, and he found himself not just respected, but genuinely liked. Victor also took Keanu's unspoken lesson to heart. He began dedicating time to causes that mattered. On weekends, he volunteered at local charities, offering his expertise to help small businesses thrive. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose that wasn't tied to his bank account or professional status. Meanwhile, Keanu remained blissfully unaware of the profound impact he had left on Victor. He continued to live his life as he always had, unassuming, kind, and true to himself. Whether it was stopping to help a stranded motorist, quietly donating to causes he believed in, or simply taking time to listen to fans, Keanu's small, everyday acts of kindness rippled outward, touching countless lives. Victor hoped that one day their paths might cross again. If they did, he wanted to thank Keanu properly, not just for his patience on that flight, but for the example he had set. Until then, he carried the memory of their encounter as a constant reminder to lead with kindness and humility. And so, the legacy of that brief plane ride wasn't just about the transformation of one man, but about how even the smallest gestures, an understanding smile, a calm response to hostility, could change the world one person at a time.